Hello, Bunny Buns Tarot 8 here, and alright, let's just see how this goes. Okay, so if you're watching this on my TikTok, I've mentioned before that on my YouTube I do story times about my most recent past life, because I remember my most recent past life in a lot of detail. Like, it's trippy, um, but I just try to do mostly just tarot readings on my TikTok. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, then okay, you get a bonus weird story time from me. Like really weird. This is gonna be weird. Um, so I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll post this one on my TikTok because it might like interest people into checking out my other story times. And then also like, uh, this is a past life regression to my past life in ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet, and I kept getting shown it over and over and over again. And at first, I did like this. I remembered it like a few years ago, and at first, like I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because I was just it's okay. Bear with me. Okay, so for some reason, there's a few reasons, and it has a lot to do with like numerology and my natal chart. But sorry, my phone. Um, a lot of like many times that I'm having past life regressions, they pop up like when I'm cooking or like in my kitchen or just like doing dishes. For some reason, doing dishes. I think maybe it's because like I really like cooking and it's kind of my love language, and so when I'm cooking and I have music going, I get into like a meditative state, and that's what was going on. I okay, that makes sense. That makes sense because okay, all right. So this makes so much sense. So in this past life in ancient Egypt, I was a man and I was painting on a wall. And I remember, and every single time I had that past life regression, one thing that stood out is the amount of calm that I had and groundedness and like how in tune with nature and stuff I was and how much of a meditative state I was in. That's why it happens when I'm cooking, dude. Okay. Um, so yeah, I was painting, and when I tell you, like, it's because we have just so much going on in the world and stuff, and just I've never felt that much calm before. Like I was just able to paint and think of my work, and I was so in tune with like the pulse of earth and everything, but it wasn't abnormal for me. And so he was thinking like, "Oh, I can't wait to get off work because I want to go home and eat my wife's dinner and cuddle with my wife. And then tomorrow I don't have work, and so I want to talk to these foreigners that are visiting because I want to know about their land, and I'm hoping that I can set up trade." And so I was like, okay, let me make sure that everybody is on task to finish work for the day. Specifically because I remembered we had just hired a young man onto our crew, and he was mostly working as a laborer, but we were gonna like teach him everything, and so he could become like a painter and artist also. So I turned to my right, like I was painting by candlelight in this dark room, and I turned to the right, and so I didn't see anybody, but about spaced off like 15, 20 feet away, I just saw lights because we were all painting by candlelight. And I asked the young man who was at the very end, I was like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need help?" And he was like, "No, I'm fine. Like, thank you for asking, though." And for everybody else, I was like, "Oh, all right. So is everybody on task for work? Like, are we good? Like, do you think we can, like, get off work at the time that we were supposed to get off work?" And everybody was like, "Yeah, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, we're good." So this kept happening. I kept remembering this over and over and over for weeks. Like, I kept having this same past life regression. And I was like, "God, why are you showing me this? Like, what am I missing? What am I missing?" And so it happened again. I was like painting, and the same thing happens. He gets deja vu, but it's me. It's a me in the back of his head. It's so funny because he'll literally be painting with, like, because he's getting deja vu, but it's me. But so yeah, he same thing, painting, gets deja vu, like thinking around, and then I realized what was happening. So I didn't walk down to everybody to ask if everybody was okay and if we were on task for work. I used telepathy. And I didn't think about it. It was like, it wasn't a big deal because it was a natural human ability that we all had. Like the young man, the reason I mention him is because he wasn't like from a rich family or anything. He was just like a young, kind of poor boy, but he was really, really good artist, and that's how he got hired. So it wasn't like the rich 1% could use telepathy. This was a normal human ability that we had. So I had my inner dialogue, but then I was able to separate it. It was almost like it was easier than sending a text. And so I used telepathy to talk to everybody, all of the artists, down this huge hallway. And then another thing, you remember when I mentioned that the next day he was excited to talk to the foreigners and talk about where they come from and see if he can set up trade? You know how he knew that he could communicate with these foreigners? Telepathy. I didn't have to worry about speaking their language or anything because I could just use telepathy. And it's so crazy because the same past life regression had to keep getting shown to me over and over and over for me to really even register it because of how much of a natural human ability that it was. And so it's kind of like you ever think like are thinking about someone and you're like, oh, I should call them, or I'm like worried about them, or you're just around a really good friend and both of you just like, you ever make eye contact with your friend and you guys can just tell what you're thinking or whatever? Or in all honesty, like I can just kind of like I try not to, but you come on, a lot of us can pick up on what other people are thinking. It's weird, and it's just weird, but sometimes it happens. And like that's a whole nother rant in itself. I just think it's really, there's a reason that I had to get shown that, because a lot of the past life regressions that I've had, a lot of the spiritual experiences that I had did involve collective consciousness and telepathy. And in the grand scheme of Earth, like if you really like look up all of history, ancient Egypt, it really wasn't crazy that long ago. Not long enough ago that every scientist in the world, every historian in the world just is fully not able to realize that we were able to just all use telepathy. Like, there's no way that this is like, it's just interesting. It's just interesting. So that's one story time from that life in ancient Egypt. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. So if you're on TikTok, hey, check out my YouTube because you can hear me rant about my most recent past life. And then if you're on YouTube, enjoy this. Yeah. Oh, another little fun fact from like my most recent past life. I'll try to hurry with this, but like I found out who he is because he was really into taking pictures and everything. And then after a while, I was like, wait, I know where this was and like what year this was in. And so I went on Google and I found the pictures that I took like in my most recent past life, and that's one of the ways I was able to like figure out who I was in my most recent past life, because he was like obsessed with taking pictures and videos and everything, and it's really interesting. Like, anyway, have a good one.